here as we go. Cool, cool. So, guys, thanks for jumping on. If you are a guest with us, we appreciate you being here. This is open to everybody, all agents, all companies. We do this every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Or 8 a.m. Pacific. And different topics we'll throw out. Sometimes just everybody masterminding, throwing out different things. We've been talking about the market shift. We did kind of part one last week, which if you missed that, if you're part of our group here, at work or at EXP Freedom Team, you can go into the workplace group and see the recording on that last week. Got a lot of good feedback on that one, and so much to talk about. So we thought we'd carry it on with part two. If you're a guest with us and you want that, let us know. We could certainly send you the recording of that. It's also in YouTube. You can find that there as well. I've got a YouTube channel. You can go there and check it out. Put all the recordings there. But guys, thank you very much. Hope you guys had a good 4th of July holiday weekend. Nobody blew up. Nobody lost an arm or anything with the fireworks. Everybody's doing good. Our dogs were in trauma till about 3 a.m. It was craziness, but we got through it. Jeez, I'm telling you. We have one that couldn't care less. She's just out, sleep like nothing. The other one just shaking like a leaf, and it was crazy. But anyway, it is what it is, and hopefully it'll end.
My dog used to do that too, but now they're so old and deaf they don't even hear them hardly. So
mine, it tends to go on now. Here for the next 3 or 4 nights, there'll be 1 or 2 fireworks that go off, and that's it. They're done for the night. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. We're kicking things off here. A lot of it's a Monday, with the holiday here. But Kathy, why don't you introduce yourself, and we'll take off here. We'll open things up here for part 2.
Yeah,
what we're doing. Go ahead.
So Kathy Carter out in Nashville, Tennessee, been doing real estate about 24 years, and was a managing broker for a while at one of the KW offices, and won a lot of sales awards over the years. So, we're excited to talk to you guys today about part 2 of our conversation.
Cool. Real quick, guys, just a reminder, if you can, please turn on your cameras. I know a lot of people just came in, but 28 people on here, and we've got like 11, 12 cameras open. So anyway, it definitely helps us out, okay? Just, we can participate more interaction. That's what's going to make this thing work. So if you can, please turn them on. If you're driving, don't worry about it, whatever. But Kathy, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you do a quick intro? Most people
for myself,
know
so
but we got a few guests.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My wife and I, we've been doing real estate here for about 20 years, and done very well with it. We were in the top 20 in town here out of about 4,000 agents for a while. We've pulled back a little bit on our business, although we still did, 42 deals, I think, last year. We'll do another 40 this year, something like that. We're on track for that. But anyway, doing very well. Grateful for it. Got through 2008, been through all kinds of markets. And I think, anybody that's gotten in the business in the last, 6-7 years, especially, it's like, really have no idea, how to handle some of this kind of stuff. I mean, this, skills have to change. Yeah. As we go into this kind of market. Skills have to grow. There will be a lot of agents leaving the business, and it doesn't need to be anybody on here. It really doesn't, but you have to shift as the market shifts. Otherwise you can get left behind. I think one of the things that's going to happen, and something to think about, as the weaker agents are going to be leaving the business. The strong agents, honestly, a lot of strong agents look forward to something like this because you can gain market share. You can really show your skills. You can really come out on top. And a lot will in this. But the newer agents understand this. Now, when you go into appointments, you're going to be competing with stronger agents. So you've got to be ready for that, okay? You've got to have your skills in line and sharpened up, and there's lots of ways to do that, really get ahead of the game. So we're going to talk about some of that. We definitely want to open it up to as many, questions as possible and get some people interacting. Some of what we talked about last week, we can carry that on a little bit, but things that you guys are seeing, things that you're working on, concerns that you have, or questions that you have. How do I go into this kind of, shift in the market? Okay, there's a lot of things to be ready for and be looking at. So anyway, Kathy, go ahead. You can take it, and then and we'll go from there. Okay.
Yeah. So just to start out, the first thing I would say, depending on where you're at, we're definitely starting to see a shift. But, what I will say, and, I've listened to a lot of different people. I know Jeff has as well. Like, we're not in a crash, we're in a shift, right? We all know we're in a recession right now. Some experts expect that it literally could last up to 10 years. depending, I mean, none of us have that crystal ball and know for sure, but we are, the days of the real estate market that we've seen in the last, 2, 3, 4 years are fast moving behind us. Like, we could put a sign in the yard and didn't have to do a thing, and the house would sell, right? So like Jeff said, we're going to all have to start sharpening our skills, or pull out those skills that we once had, that were in our toolbox that we haven't really had to use this go around, the last few years. And so the first thing that I would say is, it all starts with our mindset, and how we're adjusting through. We talked a little about that last week, and it also is up to us to keep the fears calm, our clients' fears calm through this transition. Like when you're dealing particularly with your sellers, you want to be in constant communication with them, and not just be hiding behind behind the wall because you don't know what you're going to say, or you don't know what's going on, because still a lot of our sellers, they're expecting we're putting the sign in the yard, and we're going to get multiple offers right off the bat. So we have to be, as things are adjusting, we have to be upfront with our clients and set the right expectations, whether they're going to be, whether it's a seller or whether it's a buyer, right? With the buyers, we're probably going to have longer relationships with both of them. With the buyers, we're going to be in longer relationships with them because interest rates, we know have risen, and their buying power is lessened. And, as the prices, I don't think we're going to see prices decrease, probably most across the country. What I do see is that we are starting to see a stabilization, and what we've been experiencing with 15, 20, 2% increase, that's going to shift. We're going to go back to a more normalized market, with our prices, all of that. So you've got to be able to have that honest conversation on the front end and set those right expectations, particularly with your sellers. I think it's more critical than ever, doing that. Jeff, what do you want to add to that?
Just to add, I think, you mentioned having a longer relationship with your clients. I think you need to be ready. Like if you haven't had to talk to a seller in the last few years about a price reduction, you've got to be ready to do that. And you've got to learn how to do that, how to have those kind of conversations, longer listing agreements. I think,
Yes.
we're seeing a lot. I will tell you one thing to be looking at too, in terms of leads, in terms of getting things, we are starting to see a lot more expired listings. I was looking on the MLS yesterday. Here in Colorado Springs, we had, I think, 78 expired listings in the last like 14 days. In Denver, of course, much bigger market, 788 expired listings in the last 30 days in Denver. Okay, we're going to see a lot more of that. Homes that are either they were overpriced, they weren't marketed well because, again, stick a sign, it's going to sell. Again, there's a lot of things there. So there are sellers in that group that want to sell. Okay, some that started out high and we're not going to adjust and we'll just rent it if we need to. You're going to get some of that too. But there's a lot of those sellers that it's something to be thinking about, in terms of reaching out to some of those people. We haven't had to do that in a long time. But that is now a new group of leads that you can be targeting and calling those people, but be able to have those kind of conversations with them. Okay. And you could pick up some listings there. We're seeing a lot of that. You need to be talking. Go ahead.
Kind of going on that point and pricing, I think I said this a minute ago, but we need to be pricing it correctly on the front end best we can. Right. It's like and again, having those real conversations and, even talking about pricing and talking about reducing prices, that Jeff's talking about, like you can, again, we haven't had to do this, but you can actually put in your listing agreement that, after 10 days or X day, whatever number of days, you're going to reduce the price, by down to this price. Like you can have all that in your initial conversations as you're talking with your sellers, right? It's like, especially if your sellers wanting to push the price a little bit, right, in this market, and they're not wanting to hear what you're telling them. Say, okay, Mr. Seller, we'll go along with that. But if we do not have an offer within the first 7 days, 10 days, somewhere in there, or if we have, what I tell my sellers, if we have 10 or 12 showings and we don't have any offers, the market's telling us we're too high, unless there's something else wrong with the house. Right. And I'll say, we'll, try that price if you want for the first 7 days. But on day 8, if we don't have an offer, we're going to have it already written in here that we're going to lower it to this price, and get all that agreed upon on the front end with your sellers.
And that's something to, if I could add to that, one of the things that I used to tell sellers all the time, we haven't had to do this for a while. We're starting to do this again. Okay. This is how we used to do it. Every 30 days or every 10 showings, we should at least have an offer.
Yep.
If we go, if we go 10 showings in the first couple weeks, we know we're close on the price, but we're not close enough to get the offer, because anything will sell at the right price. It could be a total box of just a complete fixer upper. It will sell at the right price. It could be backed up to the biggest busy street in town. It will sell at the right price. There will always be objections, but when the price is right, those objections don't mean anything. Okay. So if we go 10 offers and we haven't had, or 10 showings and we haven't had an offer, here's what I used to tell people: we're typically about 1.5% to 3% off on the price. And now if you make that adjustment, now you're good enough and you get the offer. If we go 30 days and maybe we've had, 5 showings, whatever, no offers, again, we're probably 3 to 5% off on the price.
Yep.
And that's just typically what it used to, that's what it used to be. I think we're coming back to that, and we had to make that adjustment, but be ready to make that adjustment quickly, but have that conversation. Like Kathy said, this is part of that upfront conversation that you're having with people to prepare them. And you've got to learn how to have those conversations if you haven't been in that kind of market before. Be ready to do that kind of stuff. And like she said, you can get that up front. Here's our price. Here's where we'll start. And you can have that kind of conversation in the additional provisions on your listing agreement. You can put it in there on day 10. We're gonna, if we if we haven't had this many showings, we're gonna lower the price to this. Whatever, and just have that spell. So now you don't even have to have that conversation and call them up. You've got it in there and we all agreed to it, and now you can just lower the price and be good. And that's a good way to handle some of that as well. So
Jeff, so what I would love to do is, so I have 2 points I just want to throw out there, and then you may have a couple of additional points, but then I would love to just open it up, and we just kind of have this open, mastermind, right, forum. And so, one of the things you said a minute ago is about sharpening our skills. So, we're kind of talking a little bit about that now. That is first and foremost. So now is maybe the time, if you're not attending classes, you're not attending some of these masterminds, right? Here, especially if you're at EXP, we have, 6-8 classes every single day, right, to help you sharpen your skills. When I got into real estate business 24 years ago, I remember I was just, a sponge. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to learn everything. And, for some of the agents on here, you guys have been in the market, 3, 4, 5, 6 years when it's all been great, and easy, as I would say easy. But now may be the time, to really start learning new scripts, all of those things. The other thing that I would throw out there, and this for me is probably something from day one that I feel like has set me apart in a lot of ways, and that is having relationships with your lenders. But more importantly than having relationships with the lenders, know different options, different programs they have, how you can negotiate different, understand the numbers. Like I harp on agents all the time, you've got to understand the numbers of a transaction. I've always been blown away in my 24 years of how many realtors are like, oh, I send them to my lender. Like that's their deal to understand the numbers. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've been able to negotiate because I understood the numbers. When I talk about the numbers, I'm talking about, how they translate, what's the buyer's closing cost? What's the seller's closing cost? If you understand all the numbers, then you know how to negotiate best, or different ways. I can't tell you how many times I've guided the opposite agent on the other side of the deal, how we can structure this deal and make it happen when it's not just, your cash deals like we've all seen, in the past. So I would say really sharpen your skills with your understanding your numbers of a transaction, and also the different programs that are out there available for your, for your clients, and maybe even for the other agents' clients who don't know that, how to negotiate. So a real quick story that I have a listing that I listed a couple of weeks ago, and here we are. This guy, I didn't do a good job on the front end, I will admit, having this upfront conversation with him about the market and kind of the expectations, but I knew he was anxious to sell. I felt like we priced it right. Long story short, he wanted to reduce the price after about a week. Like, he comes in like, let's reduce it. Well, then a week later, so this was last Thursday, he's wanting to reduce it more, another 15 grand. Now this is a $750,000 listing. And so I said, listen, instead of reducing another 15 grand, I said, why don't we, before I went to him with this, I called my lender. I was like, what would it cost us to buy down their interest rate? If somebody has good credit, they're putting 20% down, 750 price range, what would it cost us to buy the interest rate down a whole percent? And in that scenario I rolled out, it was about 20 grand. Okay. So I go to my seller and I said, what about instead of lowering it 15 grand, we offer a $20,000 closing cost for this buyer to buy down our interest rate, which is going to be about a full 1%. I said, for a buyers right now, they're payment sensitive and they're interest rate sensitive, right? Those are the two big things for buyers. So instead of reducing the price 15 or 20 grand, which would have made about $80, $90 difference in a buyer's payment, by reducing the whole percent, it's going to make about $400 difference in their payment. That's the stuff I'm talking about, knowing your numbers. So my seller liked that idea. We went that angle. Then it's up to me. How do I push this out to the marketplace? How do I market that property with that, right? So I did some different kind of marketing things. Number one, I blasted a flyer out to 9,200 agents. I did a lot of social media stuff, and over the weekend we ended up with 2 offers. So that's the type of stuff where we need to continue learning, continue, building our skills, but especially get in relationship with your lender, learn some creative things like that. So those are just a couple of points, that I wanted to throw out there. And then Jeff, if you don't have anything to add, what I'd say is let's open it up. Number one, for questions, any other kind of ideas that anybody has, because I want to help people start maneuvering through these conversations, through these, transactions, as we're in this shift here.
Real quick, Kathy, Nancy had asked if you could share the flyer. Do you have that flyer on your computer where you could share your screen and show everybody the flyer, or we could put it into Workplace?
Yeah, hang on a second. You be talking and let me bring that up and then I'll share it.
Okay. Let me real quick, Jessica, can you open your mic up?
Yes, I'm here.
Jessica's done training for us before. She's an Icon agent. Where are you at? I forget, Jessica.
I'm in Nashville as well.
Nashville. That's what I was going to say. Tennessee. Why don't you talk a little bit? What are you doing right now? I mean, how long have you been in the business?
5 years and Icon for 2. Yes.
Okay.
And I actually came on under Kathy. We had worked together on a deal.
Okay.
So I know.
What kind of stuff are you seeing? What kind of things are you doing personally? Because again, Icon agent, you're doing a lot of deals. You've learned a lot in the last 5 years, but you're having to shift.
Right. So I like what both of you have said. Kathy, with doing those, helping with closing costs and things like that, I think that's really, really important because it's keeping the values up in the neighborhoods as well. So we are seeing that. We are seeing, asking for closing costs, still going under contract. All of, inspections are back. Home warranties are back. So all of those things are normal, which is great. One thing that I'm telling my sellers is just because 1 or 2 houses in your neighborhood sold for such and such per square foot doesn't mean that that's what your house is going to appraise for. Everybody can't sell at the top, at the very, very top. So I think that helps them think a little bit. I'll say, well, those 2 may have been the ones that sold at the top, but they're going to average 6 houses. So I think that just creates a little bit of reality for them, because if you think about it, it's so true. We all want to sell at the top, but it's not possible. We're still in a really, really great market to sell. You just might not be at that square footage price that your neighbor, that was. is at. So I think that that's important. I also loved what Kathy said. I'm a big proponent of meeting with lenders. If you guys don't know your local credit unions, you need to go have a conversation with them. Our credit union, one of them that I work with, they're doing 102% no PMI conventional loan. So we can go in, I call the agent usually, and I say, hey, I've got Monica over here. She's qualified conventional. Did you know about this program with Ascend Federal Credit Union? And they'll say no. And I was like, well, it's an awesome program. It's conventional loan, 102%. So she can close her, have her closing costs paid. I've, closed 20 of these in the last 2 years. Tanya Jackson's awesome. You should probably meet with her, things like that. So you're creating that relationship with that agent prior to even getting the offer written. You've already kind of sold her on yourself in this program because they probably haven't heard of it. And then also it creates content for your social media. So you can share, if you have a meeting with these lenders, you can go back and share on social media. Hey, I just met this lender. Listen to this. Do you need 3% down? No, that's false. Credit union, this particular credit union does no Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, zero. Every loan that they do is in-house. So you have the knowledge that other agents don't have by meeting with these lenders. And so I'm a huge fan of local banks and credit unions and things like that.
Cool.
And their rates are great too, because they're not for profit. So
I'm doing a deal with them right now, Jessica, that same exact deal with the first time buyer,
Yeah,
and that's the thing, knowing what programs are out there for your buyers, if you're dealing with them, because maybe they don't qualify for, a quote unquote traditional loan potentially, but you've got these credit unions and people like you're talking about that they do in-house loans, and, they don't have to meet the Fannie and Freddie guidelines the same way. Not to mention, the different kind of creative options that are out there for people.
Absolutely. And this particular program doesn't even have a income restriction at all. So you can make as much as you want and still get the 102% loan if you qualify, with your credit score and things like that. So
let me share my screen. And
one thing I would throw out with Jessica real quick, like, you mentioned how meet with your lender and you can go on social media, you can post different things. And I'm big on this here lately. I think this is, again, the direction so many of us need to be going. We're not going, is do a video with your lender. Yeah. Go live with them on Zoom or on Facebook or something, or just with the camera, just record a video with them explaining some of these different programs they have. Put it up on a YouTube channel, your own channel. Take that and now share that with other people. That video, you'll get life out of that video. But I'm big on doing the video. Go ahead, Kathy. You got your.
All right, I was going to share this.
Okay.
See, I got 8,000 tabs open. So here's the video. There's the flyer that we created. So like right in the middle, seller to pay 20,000 in closing costs to buy the interest rate down by 1%, up to 20,000. So like I had several agencies, I told you I blasted it out to 9,200 agents. So I had even several agents, messaging me, I like to spin, I like, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted them to see it for their buyer. But so we had lowered the price. We started out at $750. We'd lowered it 10 grand or $749. We lowered it 10 grand about a week ago, like I told you. And then he was ready to lower it again because he's relocating. He needed to sell it, yesterday type thing. So anyway, this was the flyer that I ended up blasting out and putting on social media. So
it's good.
But the point is, obviously, this middle piece is what I was talking about.
Right. And you ended up with 2 offers?
Ended up with 2 offers. Yeah. We didn't, interesting enough. And this is another, I don't know, we didn't end up over full price. We ended up with full price on both of them, and they wanted that 20 grand. And so, even though both of them knew that we were going to be competing, another interesting, when things start shifting like this, I just take note about it, right? It's like, okay, both these agents know we're multiples, and neither one of them come in overpriced. So just a thought, like, who knows? But, a month or 2 months ago, right, what would have happened? We'd have probably had it $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 overpriced, especially if they knew they were competing. So that's just kind of interesting that neither party ended, and we're not overpriced. We were priced, even with quote unquote today's market, I felt like we were priced right. So yeah.
Definitely. Cool. Good deal. Brian Decker, would you mind opening up your mic? Because again, you haven't been in the business that long. What? How long? 3 years? 4 years? We can't hear you for some reason. Is your mic working? Okay, we'll come back to you. See if we get you.
All right, can you hear me now, Jeff?
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I don't know what happened here.
Now, how long have you been in the business?
We got something.
How long you been in the business, Brian?
I got a connection issue, Jeff. Hold on. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, we'll come back to you. You're good. So real quick, and one of the things I'm seeing in the chat here, several people put this in there. Tara, 84 expires in the last 30 days in Louisville. Let's see, who else? 422 Stellar MLS. George, where are you? Or Jorge? Is it Jorge? Is that how you say your name? I don't want to mess that up.
I'm going to have to exit out and come back in.
You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Okay. We're having problems here with the...
Hello? Hello?
There we go. There we go. We hear
Can
you.
you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in Tampa Bay area, but Stellar MLS is like huge, like many counties. So yeah. So I did the entire Stellar MLS.
Okay.
But I'm in Tampa Bay.
422 expired. So we're seeing, I mean, I'm telling you, that's what we're seeing now, which we haven't seen that.
No.
You know, it's been a long time since we've seen expired listings. And back in the day, I used to subscribe to a couple services that we would get every day. Here's the new expireds for that day. And we would start marketing to them, you know, making the calls, you know, when now they're getting bombarded by people, but how do you set yourself apart? Most agents, they're not calling expireds right now. They haven't even thought about doing that, you know, because we just haven't had them for so long. So
yeah, that's what I thought, but I'm a new agent, so I don't know how to approach this type of situations, because some of the houses that I focus on is like to access to the water and pier, marina, because I have been in this environment for so many years. So I believe it makes sense to join those two abilities that I have. Okay. But I don't know how to approach these guys. Some of the houses that I'm seeing expire here, they are over $1 million, and some of the houses are like under 500. So different approaches, different situations.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Who wants to, rather than Kathy or I answer that, like who has an idea in terms of like how would you approach an expired listing? Somebody open up. Anybody? Before I call on somebody. Who am I going to call on? Steve, let me call on you. Steve Carruthers, you've been around a long time. You were a broker owner for a while. What would you say, like, you know, in terms of approaching an expired listing?
Well, what we used to do is call them, but I don't know that's. I mean, that you can burn the phone line calling people. Get a lot of hang-ups. You think calling other agents is difficult. That's really tough duty. You got to develop a pretty tough skin. But prior to that, even before I became an agent, I was doing up to 600 mailings a month, and was a lot of those properties, or some of those, I was buying myself. But I've never really, other than a couple of times in my career, once in about the 12 through 14 time frame, and then in the early 2000s, have I ever done that. So I don't know that I'm really good at speaking towards that.
Okay. Who else has done stuff in the past with expired listings, or some ideas on that?
That's a specialty marketing effort for sure.
It is. Kathy, what would you do with something like that?
So kind of like Steve, I never really did that. But what I would say, you know, is, hey, this is Kathy Carter, you know, here in Nashville. I see that your home, you know, just expired off the market. You know, are you still looking to sell that? If, you know, I were to have a buyer that I could bring to you. So I would open it with an open-ended question like that. And then, you know, try to build some rapport, you know, like why do you think your home didn't sell? Like, I want to try to gather some information from them. And I'm just asking open-ended questions to see how open they are. And so, you know, if they get rude, kind of like Steve was talking about, I would say, so, you know, if they're trying to hang up on me, I would just say, so if I had a buyer that, you know, was interested in your home, you're not interested in selling it. This is if they're trying to blow me off, right? And So I'm going to try to gather some information with some open-ended questions. And then I would say, look, what I'd love to do is just swing by your house this afternoon at 5 or tomorrow at 10, right? Just to take a look at it, because we do have a lot of, buyers backed up. And unless I see your house, I don't know if one of my buyers would be interested in it. So what would be better for you today at 5, tomorrow at 10? So something along those lines. But I think it's important really in sales and anything is just asking some open-ended questions, because you're trying to gather as much information from them, right? Like, well, if you were to sell, where would you have moved to? What were you going to do when you made a move, right? Are you staying local or are you moving out of town? If they were moving out of town, they for sure probably still want to move, right? Especially if they were moving out of town. So if you ask them those open-ended questions, you're going to be able to gain some information and, make some probable assumptions from that. So
Right.
there's a lot of training. What I would say, to Jeff's point, this is one lead generating idea, right? And as we've been talking this whole time already, we've got to get better with our skills. We're going to have, the days of, everything just dropping in our lap. We're definitely, going to see that tighten up and, probably eventually go away. So we're going to have to start being really proactive in our marketing efforts and in our efforts in lead generating. And, that is one way that for sale by owners, the expired, working your database, making sure you're staying in touch with those people. There's all, you can do probate, you can do YouTube videos, kind of Jeff had mentioned that. There's all kinds of ways to generate business. But what I would say is pick one of those and work that, get good at that for a little bit, then add something else and then something else, right? So just pick something that you feel like you are going to stick with and learn what you can, learn the right scripts for that type of marketing, and then just move to the next after you've mastered the first one. First and foremost, I think everybody on here, whether you're a newer agent or not, like your first and foremost lowest hanging fruit is going to be your network. It's going to be your network. It's going to be past clients if you have past clients, right? And again, agents, we're terrible a lot of times at staying in touch with our past clients. Right. So if you don't have a database, whether you're not using KV Core, an Excel sheet, something, you need to create a database, and you need to have a system in which you're going to follow up with those people. And to Steve's point, I think marketing to them, mailing to them, and all is important. We want to do that, email and do drip campaigns. But more importantly, now more than ever, I think, is picking the phone up and calling people and staying connected to them.
Yeah, lots of phone calls. I think as one of the things I would share with us, I think it's a great time to really, if you really hone in on your systems and tools, whatever you're using, learn the tools, if you don't have a CRM, get a CRM of some sort.
Yeah.
If you're in EXP, you've got KV Core. Now, maybe you haven't set it up. Now's a great time to get it set up and learn it. Okay. I want to share my screen here for just a second. Let me show you something here with this. Where am I at? Right here. So if you log into your EXP back office, go into Enterprise. Okay. Go down here. Click on KV Core. Go right down here on the left, support and training. Because we get asked this all the time. I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to do that in KV Core. Again, and there's tons of stuff to do with KV Core. But I just want to show you, like right here, courses. And there's no charge to these, okay? Agent Quick Start, right here. Agent Success Plan, a 4-week KV Core orientation. You could jump through that thing in a matter of a few days if you just focus on it, And right now you might have some time to do it. Right here, daily calls and task management. Over here, converting your contacts into leads, conversations, and closing. There's a course here and you can launch that course, okay? And you could take this and you could go down through these courses, okay? But it's a great time to do that. There's a ton of stuff right in here, on how to do KV Core. There's all kinds of videos on YouTube and all kinds of things, but I would start right here, and we get asked all the time, and we're here to help you. We're putting together some things on KV Core. Kim is working with us on that. We're going to get some of that out, but there's so much out there, and now is a great time to learn whatever system you're using. learn it, hone in on it. You know, your website, make sure that your website is up to date. Make sure that the links work on your website. I can't tell you how many times I go to agents' websites, you click on the link and it's like, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, it doesn't work. Now's a great time to just hone in on some of those kind of things and just get everything up and running and learn your systems, learn your tools. Okay. I put something in the chat box down here, a link that I found, because again, I just did a quick search. Like I used to do, you know, like right here, 4 ways to find expired listings, leads, and tips to convert them. If you go down here, all kinds of ways to find them. But down here, you know, oops, I forgot to share my screen.
Sharing.
My bad. Sorry about that. Hold on. So right here, I shared this link, so you can copy this link if you want to. But right down here, 7 ways to nurture and convert expired listing leads. You know, send an expired listing letter. That's the first thing we did. We would get this list every day. We had a letter that was just automatically in there, lots of stuff in there about us and our team and what we did, but all the different, you know, possible reasons why it didn't sell, different things on there. But right here, there's a link, best expired listings letter. You know, you could come up with something, you know, and you have a drip campaign in your CRM and you start dripping on these people. You know, you advertise it on social media, different things you do, how you help, you know, sellers who haven't sold. And you could do a video again that you create and put it on YouTube and send that video out to people. There's all kinds of different campaigns and different things you could do. Okay. But again, just tools, just things to think about. Okay. But you can find all this stuff. But now's the time to hone in on some of those kind of skills that we just haven't had to use.
Yeah.
For a while. Okay.
Well, it's funny talking about that listing, a couple of weeks ago. And you know, he's very anxious. I was like, oh my goodness, what are all the things I used to do for my listings? You know, I mean, it's kind of funny. A handful of agents around here were like, how do we market again? How do we market our listings? What do we need to be doing? You know, besides putting MLS, putting a sign in the yard, right? Anyway, it's you know, we're all like having to brush off our skills because, you know, we've not had to do those really too much, especially on the listing side for the last, you know, couple of years.
Right.
But
for sure.
So
Brian, can you let's see if you work now. Brian Decker. I know you came out and came back.
Yeah, it should work now.
There we go. We can hear you.
We had
I apologize. How long have you been in the business, Brian?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And you've done well. I mean, you're constantly selling things. I mean, I see you on Facebook and, you know, we see each other all the time. You're here in Colorado Springs. What are you seeing right now? What kind of things are you doing in terms of staying ahead on this market? What are some things that you're working on?
You know, a lot of things I've been doing. I've been focusing on listings here recently over the last few months, doing a lot of that through just home valuations, you know, providing home valuations, been putting ads through KV Core out there, Google click ads, doing some of that stuff and getting information. You get a lot of junk when you do that. A lot of people won't give you all their information, but sure. It's worked. I've been setting appointments. I've been getting listings. And a lot of those listings have created additional opportunities where they've given me referrals. So, I mean, really work your referral side of the business as well as much as you can. I mean, it's worked well for us. We had a really good June and you know, leading up to that, and we got the pipeline, you know, kind of going for the rest of the year. So I really feel good about that. But my follow-up's been much better, you know, with my, you know, as far as the sales go. But I do see like what you're talking about. I see the listing side, you know, people still wanting to ask all the money for their homes, but honestly, that's not where we end up. And even in a few of my own that I've had, we've come down in price in order, just like Kathy said, in order to get them under contract. And we've had to do that. And I think expectations, we just got to educate the buyer and the seller both, you know, upfront. And I think it makes, you know, things go a little bit easier, you know, for them and agree with knowing your lenders. You know, we've ran into 1 or 2 deals where we had a buyer and knowing our programs, we could shift them and go to a different direction and got something done where we couldn't get it done with somebody else. Right. And so we saved a deal that way. And that was really, really good as well. But I just say follow up and, you know, like Jeff, like, you know, do as much free stuff as you can, you know, for yourself, you know, through whatever CRM system you have or whatever social media stuff that you have available to you, and then capture those leads and work them. And it, and that's what's been working for me.
Right. What kind of ads are you running as far as for listings?
Just home valuations. It's I have somebody doing it for me actually. I haven't had the time, so I'm paying a outside source to run some Google stuff for me. I've been really working on my Google business side of things, trying to get that built up and tie it to my website, and everything flows into my CRM. So as soon as I get a lead, it populates in there for me, and then we're attacking it right away and getting on it and sending them the information, trying to find out what they're doing, if they're looking at a house, if they're trying to sell their house, or what they're doing. And it's been working pretty well so far.
Okay.
Hey, Jessica's asking in the chat, like, where do you find seller's number? So there's several different services you can subscribe to, like RedX is one. That's probably one of the most popular, Jessica. Vulcan 7 is another. So you can, search even by neighborhood, by area, by address, any of that, and find numbers through those. Those are two services that I know right off the top of my head. Anybody else have any ideas of how to get sellers' contact information for free? Those services aren't very expensive. They have dialers and all that. You can subscribe as well. But if you're just looking for numbers, it's not very expensive to subscribe to one of those two.
Something else, Kathy, that I would add on to that. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people from different MLSs all over the country on here, but even in our own MLS here in Colorado Springs, we have a product called Forewarn. It does a lot of different things for you. You can put a phone number in there. You can search, kind of get some detail on a customer to see if the number's real, number one, and if it's tied to a real client. So especially for agents that are meeting clients and, that you don't know who that person is if you're trying to meet them at a home or something. So it's some protection for you as well. But you might look into Forewarn if it's available to you in your market, or maybe you can buy that service. You can put their address in or their phone number, and you can get a lot of detail on a client.
Well, I've heard people, and I think that's available in most places. I've heard a lot of agents using that for really just for safety standpoint.
Oh, of course.
Somebody reaches out and they don't know them from Adam before they go meet them. They'll plug their number into Forewarn. Like you said, you can get a lot of information about it. First of all, even see if that's a legit number.
Yep.
And all. So that's even a good thing to use from the safety side of things if it's dealing with somebody that you don't know.
100%.
Millie just said through RPR you can obtain the seller's emails.
RPR, Realtor. What is that? Realtor Property Report? Is that what that? I think that's
what that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. And one thing, guys, I'll share this real quick, just in case, and I've done a training on this before, but just as a quick refresher, if you haven't done this, Brian talked about, running some different ads and that kind of stuff. If you, again, this is for those of you that have EX or have KV Core, but almost all of your CRMs, if you have a website that you're using that's an IDX website connected to your MLS, you should be able to do this. So again, I'm in my KV Core back office just to show you this real fast. If I go to my actual KV Core page, okay, here's the front page that the public sees when they come to my wife and I's page. Now, right up here at the top, home value. If I click on that, okay, it brings me to this home evaluation page. I can copy that right there out of the address bar. I can copy that, right? Go to Facebook and I post it right here. And this is just all for free. I'm not spending anything on this. And then I just put in here, I don't know, the market is shifting. Let's see. It's still a great time to sell. What will your home sell for? Free online home evaluation. No obligation, all in caps. Click here. right? And I post that. I'll post that right now. There we go. Anybody that clicks on that, it's going to take them to this page. They put in their address. They hit get estimate. It's going to ask them for their name and their email. It will email them a CMA. It looks really good, but now we get the lead. And I could do that 5 times a day on Facebook, on my regular page, on my business page, on my LinkedIn page, on my, all kinds of things. And just, continuously doing that, I will get people that'll click on that right there. And that'll happen multiple times the more I do it. Now, again, some are going to be bogus, some are going to be whatever, but you can pick up some leads from that. Brian, have you done that at all? I mean, just something like that. I know you're paying for stuff, and you can pay for stuff like that to run also, but that's something you can do for free, right?
Yeah, we do that a lot through KV Core, and the only thing I'm really paying for is the Google Click stuff,
Right.
click ads, because I
Okay.
ask for those, and they've been really reasonable. But I spend, I don't know, $150 a month maybe on it.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
and that's the beautiful thing about KV Core. If you happen to be with EXP and you get that tool for free, right, included with your, with our monthly fee. But when somebody clicks on that, what Jeff just put there, you're going to get a notification of that. So now you can be proactive and reaching back out to them. Hey, see that you got the property CMA. Is there any questions that you have, right? And so that's one huge powerful thing about KV Core is you're going to get notified when people are on your website. If they even haven't been just looking at houses, you're going to know what houses they looked at, right? If they're just clicking around, you're going to get notified. You'll be able to see what houses they're looking at. So if you haven't set your KV Core up, we're going to highly encourage you to set that up.
Yeah.
And, just start doing simple things. You don't have to use it to the fullest because it's a very robust system. But if you just do a few little things like Jeff's showing you right here, it's going to help you generate more leads.
For sure. For sure. Pam, can you turn on your mic? Do you mind? Pam Raver.
There we
There
are.
you go. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Where are you at? Where do you
I'm
live?
outside of Chicago. I'm in the western suburbs.
Okay. Okay. How long have you been in the business?
23 and a half years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, 20 for me, 23 for Kathy. So you've been through all the ups and downs and shifts in market. What are you seeing? What are some things that you're doing right now? For yourself.
Yeah. So what I really practice is not overpricing the listing. Sometimes I don't get the listing. I'll see where they come on higher with somebody else if I'm competing.
Mhm.
But I'm seeing a lot of price reductions in the marketplace due to
For sure.
overpricing, overconfidence. But typically what my marketing plan includes is I go in and I list the home, have a stager come in, professional pictures, release it on a Friday, do an open house, no showings till Saturday. And by Monday, we have multiple offers, but you have to price the property.
Very key.
Yeah. So, the unfortunate thing then is everything's under contract in 3 to 5 days, which looks good when you go on your market, but you have nothing active for the next week. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But I think the key is not overpricing. Otherwise, we do see it sit.
Yeah. And again, I think part of that goes back to what we talked about last week, having those conversations, being able to have those conversations with your sellers, because again, you're going to go into these listing appointments and they want to do what worked 3 months ago. And that's not going to work right now.
No, you can't. You cannot speculate the price being higher. And I have yet to have something go out at list. We always go out over still. And I tell them it's much easier to have that conversation after the fact with the buyer. If they've chosen to go over list, it's usually you don't even have to meet in the middle. You can, they usually will come up with the difference because I check to make sure they can ahead of time. So, but there are those people that want more. And if that's the case, you may lose the listing when you go in to get it. So.
Well, depending how much that, to that point and kind of what we were talking about earlier, depending on how much more they want, again, just build in that price reduction after the first few days, right? It's like, look, we'll try your price, unless it's just ridiculous, right? If I think it's ridiculous, I'm not going to try their price, because I just tell them, we got to be honest with them, and we've got to be the professional. We got to educate, but it's like, it's not going to do you any good to start chasing the market down, right? If we just overprice, it's going to end up hurting you more than it's going to help you, right? To try to jump at this crazy price. But if it's not that far off, then just build in that listing agreement like we talked about. We'll
Right.
try it for a week, and then, hey, after 7 days, if we haven't gotten an offer, or certainly if we're not getting any showings, we're going to automatically just drop to this price, and again, it's just in those communications and conversations. So that's more just some input for some of the newer agents here. Don't just walk away because maybe they want too much, but see if you can kind of negotiate with them, doing some things like that. Jackie Brown, you've been around a long time in real estate. What are you doing these days?
Hey guys, and I'm so sorry. I am not camera ready. I have workout clothes on. But I love the conversation. This has been amazing. One of the things that I'm doing, thank you guys. I'm Jackie Brown out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, Metro Atlanta area. Been in the business 18 years now, went through 2008, the whole nine. So what I'm focusing on now is niching. I'm focusing on probate, and I'm building a team, bringing other people on, teaching them probate, teaching them what to do. It's been a really great agent attraction opportunity as well. If they want to do something different. I have a good mixture of brand new agents who have no clue. That's also allowing me, I'm a mentor as well. So that's allowing me to bring on, an agent that way I'm able to mentor. And I'm getting, just like Jeff said, I'm really honing in on my skills. I was raised from, I'm a Georgia peach. And so I have manners, and I like writing notes and keeping in contact. And so I'm staying in contact with my clients, and I'm always looking for new business, but my focus is just to love it on my clients, because my business up until last year, all of my years in real estate, I've never paid for a lead. My business has been 100% referral, and I love that, but I realize I have to shift too. And so now I do pay for my probate leads, which has been amazing. So that's really what I'm focused on right now. And I'm an instructor, so I'm building up the other thing, guys, that I'm doing, I'm really working on my social media and creating content, because I'm putting together now an evergreen program where I'll be able to have trainings that I've done, things that I've said over and over again. People can buy them on demand. The other thing that I did in 2019 was I opened up my own academy. Now I teach CE classes, so I'm able to offer that. So I have a lot of different things that I can do with the agent attraction side of it, and then with my client side of it. So I'm trying to be well-rounded, and I'm having fun, honestly, I really am.
Awesome.
Cool.
Good stuff, girl.
Thank you.
I want to share something. I was on a mastermind last week, and there's a big agent here in Colorado Springs. She was talking about, we were talking about all this stuff, and she said something that's really important. When people ask you, so how is the market? What's your answer going to be to that? What do you say to that? And be ready for those kind of questions. Come up with a great answer that works for you, whatever, but to be confident with that as well, and be ready for that kind of question. One of the things that she shared though was, how she's really focused in this summer on client events, whether it be a happy hour, and you put it out there and you have 30 people that show up, whatever. But they did a barbecue in the park, and she had her lender come in, and they had all these people, and just lots of conversations throughout the 3 hours that barbecue went on. The kids are playing in the park, and the lenders, again, providing a lot of this stuff, whatever. She got 12 referrals from that event. And so, but again, one of the things that she does, to ask for a referral, she had a QR code. And I didn't know this. Some of you guys might know this. You can go to this. Let me show you this site. It's very simple. I didn't even know this existed, but it's qr.io. So right here, you can just create a QR code. You know, you have a website, let's say, and it might be to your site. It might be that home evaluation page, whatever. Let me just put this in here. If I go into my, I'm going to go do this. Well, here, let me just, I don't know. Let me find what's a website. I don't know. Let me just do this. If I just take this right here and I put it into there, and it generates a QR code instantly. And you could download that as a picture, and now you could have that on your phone, and you could just give that to people. You could share that with people. They get on that QR code, and it takes them back to whatever page you put in there. You know what I mean? But it's simple, it's quick, it's free. You know, she had those printed up, you know, whatever, giving them out to people at her barbecue that she did. But she ended up getting 12 referrals out of that client event. It's a great time of year to focus on some client events. And again, we've done trainings on those and masterminds on those. They don't have to cost you a whole bunch of money, you know? And you could do that if you're a new agent. There's lots of ways to do that. But, you know, invite your sphere, invite your, you know, the people around you, and just asking for, you know, referrals. But you're just doing something to generate people coming together, you know? And again, it could be a happy hour. It could be a Saturday afternoon at the park. It could be a hike. It could be a Saturday morning hike. And 10 people show up, and we're going to meet and go on a whatever. I mean, you can just different things you do, and take pictures, and you post that, and you do a video on it, and you generate more interest. You're going to do it again in 2 weeks, and what a blast, and whatever. Just different things you can do, and you're asking for referrals the whole time, and just, you know, you have that QR code you're giving to people, and you can pick up some business this way. You know, just different things you can do.
Well,
So,
and you know, obviously, we have done some trainings on this, but have your lenders and your home inspectors and your title people, all that
Totally.
help subsidize, you know, the whole thing. So, you know, they're more than happy usually always to do that. And Jessica's asked the question. She said, you know, my answer about the market is, when people ask, is it's normalizing, but I need more knowledge. You know, I need more knowledge on what is normal, like the average interest rates, average days on market, et cetera. You know, what I will say, Jess, is if you look at the 30-year average history of interest rates, it's been about 7%. So we have been so spoiled these last few years, right? You know, quite honestly, we're even at 6%. We're a little below what the 30-year average has been. If you look at Freddie, I think it was Freddie Mac where I'd seen that posted, you know, what the 30-year average is. You know, in a normalized market, it's usually 30 to 60 days that homes are on the market, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood is what I think from a listing standpoint is sort of a normal time frame. Do you agree, Jeff?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Jessica commented, you know, they do a monthly. What do you call that, Jess? What do you call that? Friends, and you call it something every week, every Wednesday. Y'all do it.
Yeah, so Tyler and I started a couple of years ago doing what we call I can't even remember the name of it. What's it called? First Wednesdays with Friends. And
Yeah, First Wednesdays with Friends.
And so we do it every Wednesday. And during COVID, I got pregnant and we stopped doing it. But we did one last year, and it was in August, I think. And it was a pool party, and we got a food truck, because it used to be everybody would bring a side and we would provide the meat, whatever it was for that Wednesday. And we found the food trucks here have a minimum of $600. So we were spending about $300 probably at the grocery stores anyway. So we like the food truck idea, and we're going to continue doing that. But I know when you're getting started, you probably don't have $600 to spend on a party. And then we would do alcohol from, that was left over from our Airbnbs, but we don't even provide that anymore. We just do the meal and the drinks, but we do it every Wednesday, first Wednesday of every month. The one tomorrow, there's a retro bowling alley, and because it's Wednesday, everything's half price. So you can bowl for $4, and then we provide pizza and drinks and just non-alcoholic drinks. So that's fun. And we just invite everybody. We don't call it a client event. It's a friends event. And then we have, we try to do them at our house too. So, but our house is an Airbnb, so that's tough. But August, we're doing it at our pool. We're going to have the food truck, because if you get people into your house, you are their agent. I'm a strong believer. If you get people to step foot into your house, whether it's for a Christmas party or whatever, you are probably going to be their agent. So, we are big believers in the more that you get out there, the more events you do, the more sporting events you go to and share, the more clients you're going to have because you have these things in common with everybody. So we really grew our business from our sphere and not from advertising. We do a lot of Facebook, but I did that anyway before I was even an agent. So I like Facebook. I like Instagram. We're starting with a TikTok. I want to do a YouTube. I feel like we have a lot of content for that. We're still getting there, but the client events are super easy with, it doesn't have to be anything formal. I mean,
Jess, if you're not getting your lender to help, entitle people and all that to help offset the cost, I mean, definitely reach out to them. So it's 11, I've got 11 o'clock. So but I think Cheryl Johnson had her hand raised, but it went down. Did she jump off?
She's
Maybe.
on there. Do you have a question,
Oh,
Cheryl?
There's a question.
I knew we're getting close on time. I'm sorry I got on here late, but I didn't know if anybody mentioned keeping current matters. Did you all mention that? Okay, I just wanted to share
that. It's awesome.
Source for information. It's a good source. I use it in my videos. It's a good source of market statistics and information, interpreting the market. They have a lot of infographics, so I just take those and insert those. So it's a quick, easy fix. They also have a plan. I know people are keeping their costs down, but they have a plan where they'll help you with your videos, but it costs about $90 a month. But really, you could just take their info, use it in blog posts, Facebook posts, and share it. It's a great.
Yeah, you can turn back anything they do into video.
I love their stuff. I love their stuff. It's got a lot of data and everything. So I would highly encourage, like she said, everybody to look up Keeping Current Matters and getting that information. You can do a lot of posts on that. So it's 11 o'clock my time. So probably noon for the Eastern time. So, we do this, like Jess said earlier, every single Tuesday, 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. And it's always different topics. Sometimes we just have a speaker on here that's doing an actual training for the time. And then we have the Q&A opened up at the end of it. But Jeff, you got any final?
No, I think just take advantage of this time. Block your schedules out. I mean, the more conversations you can be having with people, the more people you're going to find who are either looking themselves to make a move or they know somebody who is, and you can be that person. But it's those conversations. So, but hone in on that, whatever, and then take advantage of some of the maybe extra time that you have. Like, again, I think block out your schedule in the right way, but really hone in on your skills. The skilled agents, and the agents that just become pros are the ones that will shine in this market. And the weaker agents are going to get out. But again, remember, you're now going to be competing when it comes to buyers, and you're going to be competing when it comes to listings. Don't just take for granted because you get a referral that you're going to get that listing. Don't just take for granted that you hear about a past client who is ready to make a move and they're going to sell that you're going to get the listing. You will probably be competing. With people. And so, if you go into that listing appointment just lazy, I'm assuming I'm going to get it because it's a past client, they're going to hire me. You might not get that listing. You've got to be ready for that kind of stuff. So hone in on your skills, become a pro in this. There will be some people weeded out in this market, but again, it doesn't have to be anybody on here. It doesn't have to be anybody that we're working with. Okay. Just take advantage of that. Learn your CRM, learn your systems, learn your website, get all that stuff up and running, jump into as many classes and things as you can to just go to the next level in your business. That's what will happen. So anyway, we'll wrap it up. Kathy, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everybody who was able to get on here and participate. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Okay. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, you guys.